As you guys probably saw in the thumbnail of the video, today we are talking about the GOAT, Johann Sebastian Bach. My man was slaying on and off the court, 20 kids. A lot of you might be confused because Bach is a Baroque classical composer, and classical music isn't really known for improvisation. But if that's your perception, let me educate you. When people think about classical music, they mostly think about reading sheet music, meaning no improvisational skills. And that's a fair assumption to make. But you just be very wrong, because back in the day, those old legendary composers were all amazing improvisers. Fun fact for you guys, Baroque keyboard music in particular was mostly improvised. If you were a harpsichordist or an organist back in those days, you'd be required to improvise codas, preludes, even fugues. If you guys have watched the Mozart movie, you guys have probably seen the clip where Mozart flexes his skills on Salieri, who is his rival, by improvising a whole new etude based on the theme that Salieri made. And it wasn't just Mozart who was able to do this. Greats like Bach, obviously, Beethoven, and Chopin, just to name a few of these guys, were amazing improvisers. And some of their pieces are speculated to be actually fully improvised. Now, I have a video up on my channel where I kind of go into how this art of improvisation was lost in the classical tradition throughout the years. But if you want to watch that, I'll put the link in the description below. Now, for those of you guys wondering, Bach was known for being a Baroque composer, one of the greatest, but he was most famous for the introduction of the fugue. Now, the fugue is a very, very complicated thing to break down, so buckle up. So you got something called a subject, which is your main theme, and that main theme is played once by itself. And after it's played by itself, that main theme, the subject, is played again, but this time it's transposed to a different key. Now, while that theme is playing, the transposed version, the first part that played the main theme in the original key continues to play an accompaniment part under the transposed subject. And then this just keeps happening depending on how many voices you want, and you keep developing the theme, but the theme has to kind of like still be there a little bit to a certain extent. And you just keep building on these new themes and themes and themes until you have this thing called counterpoint. What counterpoint is, it's a lot simpler. It's just two distinct melodies playing at the same time. For all my visual learners out there, this is my first fugue that I ever wrote. I just wanted to show you guys this so I could better explain what's going on in real time. So, it starts off, this is our main theme. And then the theme plays again, just transposed to a different key. But while that's happening, the first voice that played the main theme alone plays an accompaniment line underneath the new transposed theme. So this is what that sounds like. But my first fugue that I ever wrote, I decided to make it 3 voices. So now this process happens again. All this is doing is main melody and then accompaniment line. But then the accompaniment line in the first voice gets shifted to the second voice after the second voice plays the main theme transposed. And then this process just keeps on happening until everything kind of stacks weirdly diagonally until you get something like this. As you can see, new themes are developing, but each time it develops, each voice has an opportunity to play that theme transposed to whatever key they're transposed in. And it creates this effect where each voice has a melody that the listener can remember, but they all kind of meld and they all kind of live in this space together. It's a really complex feeling and sound, but it sounds really sick. Hopefully that helps. I don't know. Now, fugues are separated between how many voices the fugue decides to have. You can have a fugue where it's just 2 voices. So the subject plays once, and then it's transposed and it's played again, and then these 2 lines just kind of simultaneously play together. That's a 2-voice fugue. But it doesn't have to stop there. You can keep adding voices to the fugue and the subject would just continue to play at different times and you just have multiple themes and it would just become a lot more difficult to maintain the structure of the fugue. What helped me understand the form of a fugue a little better is thinking of it as the hamburger essay thing that they always show you in school. You got your theme and the theme's gotta kind of stay consistent throughout the essay, but then you got the hamburger parts that support what your theme is trying to say. And at the very end of your essay, you play the theme again by itself. It's kind of similar to how a fugue works, if that makes any more sense to you guys. As you can see, the fugue is a very complex thing and Bach mastered it. He even created a whole rule set that people follow to this day on how to write fugues easier and how to make them sound good. I'm not gonna go into the rule set because that's a little too nerdy for me, but just know that exists. If you want to know more about it, you can go on YouTube and search it up. I'm actually so scared of getting stung, bro. There's these big fat bees everywhere and like, I'm so scared of getting stung. They're so fat, guys. Like, you don't even know how much I'm risking for this shot. Now, you may be wondering why this is considered the pinnacle of improvisation. And it's quite simple. In jazz, you improvise one melody line over a series of chord changes. So obviously the next progression is being able to improvise more than one melody line at the same time. Otherwise, being able to improvise counterpoint. And some musicians have been able to get to that point where they're able to improvise counterpoint up to 3 voices, like Keith Jarrett, and we celebrate him for that. His improvised concerts where he has no repertoire and everything is off the dome, on the spot. All the chord changes, everything. But even he wasn't able to do more than 3 voices at the same time. Bach was able to do 6. That's just insane. Being able to do even 2 is so impressive because you have to split your brain into 2 parts, singing 2 different melody lines at the same time. Now imagine 6, playing 6 different melody lines at the same time that all work together with 2 hands. Even now when I think about it, it's not even something that I think is possible. More of something that's like an urban myth. But historically, Bach was able to do so. I'm going back inside, I'm too scared. Ugh. And it's not even just his ability to improvise 6-part counterpoint. It's also the fact that he was able to improvise fugues, meaning his stuff had structure. He was able to freestyle structure in his songs, have a subject, and make sure that subject stays consistent throughout improvising his whole spiel. You see, Baroque music wasn't known for its adventurous harmonies, but when you start to really study Bach, the more and more it seems like he was a time traveler. To be honest, the only thing he was missing from his playing to make it fully bebop was the rhythmic aspect, because his stuff didn't really swing. A lot of great jazz pianists tried to emulate his work or revamp his work to make it jazz. Oscar Peterson did too. He had a whole concert called Salute to Bach, and it's great, by the way. I do recommend you guys check that one out. As you can see, I am a Bach lover, but I really do hope you guys too can understand how truly great this guy was, not only as a composer, but as an improviser. Everybody should check out his stuff. Whether or not you like playing jazz or classical, it just helps out with your dexterity of your fingers and being able to split your mind into 2 and have finger independence. Bach is my GOAT, and I hope you guys can appreciate him just as much as I do. If you guys enjoyed this kind of content, consider subscribing, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.